Hello, this is Arcadius, and welcome to another how-to video here on Stormworks Build and Rescue. And this time, I thought we'd take a look at the instrument panels, and particularly the bar segments and the radials. I will also be covering the 7 segments, but those will probably be in the next video. But I will be showing something with them. So, hope you like what you watch. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Helps out the channel immensely, and yeah. Let's get into this. Alrighty. As I said, we're going to be looking at instrument panels. I particularly want to take a look at for this video, the bar segments and the radial segments displays on there. We're going to go off how they work, how we're going to make them work, and the options within. So we can do things like using a throttle lever or some numerical input to make them active, or just using regular on-off switches to light up whichever ones you want, and possible benefits and cons of using either system. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So finally, you can look at a video and say, I know how to use the numbers, bits on an instrument panel. Oh, this was an interesting subject, trying to figure it out. Go away, missions. Go away. Anyways, so, yeah. So, give me a second. And, yeah, we're going to get into this. Okay, so, first of all, what is the bar segment and the radial segment? They are on a component called the instrument panel. The instrument panel, which says a customizable panel that can have up to 4 different instruments controlled by a composite signal from a microcontroller. The 4 instruments can be selected in the properties. Each type of instrument has options for choosing the composite channel which they read or write to. Composite signals are bridged from the input node to the output node to enable displays to be chained together. Instruments marked as on-off require multiple on-off signals to control each other's segments individually. You get this. Okay, so that's the instrument panel. Basically, it's a cluster of 4 small instruments that have various functions using the composite logic to transfer data around. Now, what is composite? Composite is basically a bundle of wires. So the best way to put it, and I was explaining this the other day on stream, you have 2 types of main data. You have your on-off Boolean logic, and then you have your numerical data. These are your reds and greens, as you would see here. You know, like for your green data is your numerical data, like you have with your controls and your seats. You got your red data, which is your hotkeys and such. Now, if we come to these different devices, like say the handle that I have here, you'll notice there's one output, and it gives you in the tooltip the various values that are on what channel that this puts out. Now, that is not as much of a big deal right now as the big issue of what this can do. So, as I said, there are these 2 main data points. A composite is a bundle of these data points on different channels. So, for example, and there's up to 32 channels for each type in one logic, in one composite logic. So, for example, you can have up to 32 channels of green logic writing in this one line, and 32 channels of the on-off logic writing in this line. But if you add another composite in there, another channel in there, it overwrites whatever data is being sent through there. Not necessarily trying to make this to be comprehensive about composite, but it needs to be said so you understand what's going on with what we're about to go through. Okay, so each of the instrument panels, use your select tool, click on it, and you will get 4 instruments. You'll notice it drops down. Under here, this is the main one we're going to look at right now, type. We're going to look at the bottom 3. For this video, we're looking at particularly the bottom 2. The radial segment and the bar segment. Now, for its options, it has a display mode on each one of these that is either numbers and bits or on and off. The same is here for the bar segment. Now, the bar segment has an additional direction. This has to deal with what direction the bars are going to light up when the corresponding data is sent into the instrument panel along the proper channel. Now, for choosing which channel is actually used, you have the channel in here. Now, the catch is depending which channel it's using, whether it's using red or green, is determined by your display mode. If you switch to on and off, that means you're going to be using the red on-off channels that are in the composite. If you choose display node number, you will be using the green channels that are in the composite logic. So you have to figure out which one you're going to use. Now, overall, for the simplest, on and off is the simplest way to go, because each segment on these here each of these segments have their own respective channel. Now, when you go to use these, the channel you set is the very first channel that responds. And then the next set of bars and radial pieces are sequentially progressed after that. So in other words, if we start with channel 1, the first bar that's going to light up is going to be this top one, as long as this is placed in the proper manner. So when it defaults, you have your 4 dials, and they're all with the little initial gauge pointing up. So this first one at the top of the radial, that's going to start. This one right here is going to be your first one. Sorry. You need to use additive to color these, by the way. This is going to be your first one. That will be channel 1. And here will be channel 1 here. Now, the next channel for the radials will progress in this manner like this. So this is channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Hopefully you're able to follow my mouse on that. For the bars, it goes from however you orient the bar. In this case, it's going up, so it will go up in this manner. So the bottom one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on and off, it's pretty straightforward. So here's another reference for the diagrams. You have the radial here. This is your first channel, your second channel, third channel, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. And it goes around in this pattern for the radial. Now, in the demonstration that I have here, it's from left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can just use the straight on-off channels for that. So, for example, if you want to actually start, say, channel 8. So your first channel would be 8, and then number 2 would be on 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So channels 8 to 15 on your on-off would be these. So it is sequentially from the starting channel. It's actually pretty easy in the microcontroller to set this up with the right, the read-write logic, and I will be going over that in a moment. But for now, we're just trying to identify the channels that this will be working with. Now, as I said before, when you go to put these down, it starts from the direction you set up. So I have it starting, the direction is going up. So it's going to be going from the bottom up. But there is no such indicator option you can choose here. So it's always going to start at the top one and go clockwise. Now, if you mirror it, so as you see on here, instrument panel 1 is the radial, and it's taking up this position right here. This one is also taking position 1, instrument 1, radial segment. And you'll notice the radial is now on this side, because when you mirror it, it will mirror this. So the progression will also be mirrored. So when it's mirrored, it goes counterclockwise. So keep that in mind when you do this. The mirroring also affects the bar segment in the same way, but the up and down won't be affected, but the left and right will be. Because you can choose whichever direction you want for the bar segment. You can go up, right, down, and left. So you can do all 4 directions. Okay, so now to set up your on-off channels for controlling, like I said, first you have to set these up so that they have the on-on, it is the display mode. Then you need to choose the starting channel. So what channel that the first bar or segment in the first radial piece will be starting from. You need to what channel that is, and then all the sequential ones after that are all going to be in order after that. So, like I said, if the first segment is channel 8, the last one will be channel 15. As you think 16, but no. So, got to keep that in mind when you go do it. But for this experiment, we're going to do channel 1, which means channel 1 through 8 is going to fill each of these bar slots. Okay, so, as you can see, we're actually out here now. I have these labeled to the channel which they are going to turn on. And we have the displays, they're blank right now. So we hit channel 1, and you see, first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. As you can see, it filled them all up. And then you can turn off whatever ones you want on or off for any particular purpose. You get to choose which channel to light up which segment, and that is basically how simple it can go. Now, what I did here is I set up these on-off switches for here and just changed them to the channel and then fed them directly into here. This is one way to do this. It's easy to do this with the flip switches. It makes really easy, but sometimes you're not wanting to do that. So let's set up a microcontroller to do the same thing. Okay, so we have our microcontroller. Now, for example, I'm just going to include our 8 outputs. Or actually, no. We need we need 8 inputs. Excuse me. And we're going to have 1 composite output. So we come into logic, we'll make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1 for the composite. We're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7, 8. And composite on, off, out. You can name this whatever you want, but for this demonstration, this is what we're going to do. And then I'm going to change it to a composite, and we will change it to an output. Now, we're going to put that to here. We'll put that one there, that one there. 6. I'm going to put 5 right over here. 4 will go up there. 3, 2, 1. Put that back. Okay, so we have our 8 inputs. Whatever reason why you have your inputs, there you go. We will set these up. So we got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Got those right there. Now, the simplest way to do this is we take a composite right on off, this one right here, and we're going to come in here and we're going to say start channel 1, because that's what we're working with. We're going to take the channel count to 8. This now represents the 8 channels that is on the bar segment and the radial segment for each of their section. So this first one, this input 1, is going to be the first segment, and all these will be collectively sequential to that. So then we just gotta plop these into their appropriate ones. Okay, so we got the 8 inputs to the 8 inputs here, and then we just take this. Since this starts on channel 1, the start channel is defaulted to 1. That means each of these are also sequential, because this will be input 1, but that's also channel 1. Channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5, channel 6, channel 7, channel 8. Now, say if you wanted to start on a different channel, say you were wanting to start on channel 8, like I said before earlier, you would just come in here and put in channel 8. These would still say input 1, but this would be channel 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So it would automatically set them up in that sequential order. Something else you can do, if you want, you could change the start channel variable from node. And what you can do with this is you take a property box, property number, and you can put this here and then feed that into here. Take this and name it start channel, and then say channel 1. Now what this is, the starting channel will now be whatever this particular node says. So if I go to update this, and we go to click on it, you'll see it says starting channel, channel 1. Now we're going to grab some buttons. Eight. And we're going to go ahead and attach these. we're going to grab the composite node. And this is going to go to the inputs of the instrument panels. You see, and they are set up still in their correct manner. And while I didn't name them, you would want to name them, you know, 1 through 8, whatever your respective button is. And you see that's up there. Turn that on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8. They're all lit up. Now, one of the most ways that people will use this for is like a progression bar, or you can have it identifying a different slot for like maybe gear changes, or you could use these as directions, or you can use it as just, you know, fill in pie. There's all different ways you can mathematically get this to work, so you can split up 100% between the 8 segments and just have it fill. So out here I have my G2 Optimus. If you do it right with the channels, you can have them sequentially tagged together in this manner and create one large, like, progression bar, like I have here. Okay. That's pretty much it for the on-off. So the idea is that you just need to identify the channel, or, you know, the segment you want to light up. Assign a channel based off of the first segment, and the next 8 sequential channels from the first channel assigned to the first segment will turn on and off each of the segments as you need them to in the system. You can use a microcontroller with an external inputs, or you can use data to change and all that. It's up to you how you want to do it, but this is how you would connect it. Or you can use, you know, switches to flip it around for whatever you need. It's up to you to decide how to do it, but you can do it this way. Now, the fun part. Give me 1 minute, second. And it's going to be a boop for you. Okay, so we're back here in the workshop. Now, rack the bench. There is now another method for showing off or using the segment system. Now, the on-off is real easy to use. There's another display mode called the number bits. The number / or parentheses bits. This one is a bit hard to explain other than with a statement that I need to basically, as a joke that I've heard, but you can't read it to somebody. You have to show it, let them absorb it, and then explain it if they don't get it. So, before I get to that, here is also the bar segment. So the other one was the radial. And under display mode, number bits. This is what we're going to be looking at. This is what took me a little while to get to this part. So bear with me a moment. This is not going to be simple or easy. Now, I'm going to flash a statement across the screen and give you a moment to take it in. 1001. Okay. The statement says there are 10 type of people in the world. Those who understand binary and those who do not. Now you're going, wait, but there's only 2 listed. But you said 10. Well, the problem is it wasn't 10. The joke is, it says literally right there, it says those who can understand binary and those who cannot. And what they were doing is they had a 1 and a 0. 1 and 0 in binary is 2. So the statement actually reads, there are 2 types of people in the world, those who can understand binary and those who cannot. I have a grasp on what this says. That very statement is at the heart of how you use the bits. So if you're looking at the screen right now, obviously you should be, you notice there is a graph here with some pretty lights under it. We will get to the lights in a moment. We have to relegate a numbering system for which of these segments we want to light up with the bit system. So, how are we looking at this? Well, take this in mind. You have each of these slots is each of these different ones, each of these different segments. This 1 is the one segment. This 2 is a 2 segment. You think, oh, that makes sense, of course, but here's where things get weird. The 3rd slot is the 4. 8 goes to 4, 16 goes to 5, 32 goes to 6, 64 goes to 7, and 128 goes to 8. So as you notice, it's not as straightforward. Now, the catch is these are not channels. These are a mathematical numerical value given to that segment. So if you want to activate that segment, you need to activate that number. Well, you're going, well, how do you activate that number then? The number is activated just by adding it together. So, if you want to light all the segments, you add all these together. So 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64 plus 128 equals 255, and that lights up everything on here. Let's go practical. So, what you're essentially doing when you're trying to figure out how you want it to display is you need to figure out which segment you want to light up, which value that segment lines up with. And then you want to include that value into the addition and input that number into the composite channel, the numerical composite channel, going to the instrument panel. So for example, we have 8 slots. I want to do every other slot starting from the first one. So my first number would then be 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So I'm lighting up the very first slot, the 1, skipping the 2, lighting up the 4 slot, and so on and so forth. Now for this one, since I have this set up in this way, we're going to do a different one. we're going to light up every other one from the second one. So this would be 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. So this is your 1 slot, your 2 slot, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. We look in here, and you'll notice this is how they're lit up. So if I do the first, 1, 4, 16, and 64, that comes out to 85. You input that 85 into the input for the proper channel, it will light up just these. And the same goes for this. However, the number here, like I said, is 170. So that's all these added together. Now, you're not literally inserting this number. Keep in mind, you're not actually inserting this number. You're inserting this number right here. The reason why I have this like this is marking out the channels that I'm using. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, yeah, it kind of shorthanded the 0 off of the front of there. Okay, but it's just taking this, the microcontroller I set up to do this, to display all this, is taking this number, translating it to activate these in additions. So it can add all these numbers up, display them on this board here for us, and then display the total number, which then that number value is then inputted into this. So keep that in mind. It's not just a simple on-off. The numbers I'm showing here on this, those are the channels that you want on and off, or the segments you want on and off, and you have to apply them relative to these numerical values. And this is based off the binary system. At least this is how I've understood it. It's basically converting a decimal system to a binary system. So when you were to go to write out these numbers, this is the slots that would get filled up to eventually create the number that's displayed there as a decimal versus a binary. But for the extent of for this video though, if you just look at that this slot is the same as the first segment, and this slot is the same as the second segment, and so on and so forth, as you see here, then you just add the number together, input it into the system, into the data logic, and it will give you the segments you want lit up. Now, here is also the one small problem with this too. It is also sensitive to decimals. If your inputted number is like 85.23 or 85.6 something something, it actually ticks it up to 86. And it will mess up this. Because it will then turn this on if it wasn't already on. Or it would change this to a 2 because it's no longer 86. Or 85, it would be 86, which would be the same as taking and doing that. At which point is 86. So very much keep that in mind, because then it changes up which ones are actually indicated. I don't know how well I can explain this more than this. You're just literally taking, the overall process is converting a decimal number to a binary number, with everything off being 0 and every segment being on being 255. Now, logic-wise, how you would hook this up, so to speak, and this is the actual, like, for the actual piece. So we have here, you would just set your channel, and then in your microcontroller, this is going to look messed up. All you really need is one simple write. So whatever your numerical input is, you would grab a composite write number, change its channel, the start channel, to whatever channel you want. Then you would take channel count, just leave it at 1, and then just hook this, your input value, to here, to the input for the channel, and then take this to your composite output, like such. And that's it. That is literally the minimum you need to do. That is the minimum. This input to read and put it on here. So if you haven't figured out, that's pretty much the advantage. As complex as this looks to do the display that I just showed you, if you know the value you want to do, it is as simple as the input to a write number on the proper channel, and then to a composite output. And then you take that composite output and put it straight into the composite, and then you set up the channel on the instrument panel wherever it's going. So, okay, it's channel 1. So, it's a lot simpler and compact in terms of what data it takes channel-wise. Because using the numerical bits, if you are able to manipulate and control which ones you want lit up properly with the numerical value, you only need one total channel for the numerical bits. If you use the on-off, that requires up to 8 on-off channels. And if there's only up to 32 channels of on-off and 32 channels of numbers in one composite node, or one composite logic line, that gets expensive really quick when you're using the on-offs. Because you got to think about it this way. At 4 segments, at 4 instruments, if you make them all on-offs at 8 each, 8 times 4 is 32. So one instrument panel, if it's all segments, takes all your on-off channels to display properly. So keep that in mind when you're using this stuff, whether it's the radials or the segments, they will consume a lot of on-off segments that you might, channels that you might need elsewhere. Now you can have more than one line of composite in a microcontroller using multiple channels among, one line can use like 15 channels, and then you could have just a line doing the segment channels. That's completely fine and appropriate, but on each individual purple composite line, there's only up to 32 channels of each type of on-off and numeric in that one composite line that's capable. Otherwise, you have channel overwrites. So, please keep that in mind. And just as one more example, so you can see this at work again. If I want, say, just the first 4 on and the last 4 off, I would just go 1 1 1 0 0 0 0. That shows which channels I want on, which would be 128, 64, 32, and 16. And the rest are off, so they're zeroed out. But for this one, I want to do the opposite to that. So we're just going to put 1 1 1. Technically, I would want to do, this is what I'm visualizing that I want on. So I go to hit this. You can see it sets it up. And we have our segments. These are backwards. Don't mind that. And it shows you the numerical value here. So that would be the value that went in to change those displays. So, oh yeah. I don't know much more how to explain this, but as I said, it is a relative system that involves knowing which segments you want to light up and then what values you need to add together to get it to display. I believe that the on-off has greater precision, but it requires more channels, and the numerical bits are a lot more conservative, but requires more effort to get the same precision. So, all right, so yeah, in summary, for all of this, we have the 7th segment, or we have the bar segments and the radial segment system identified, how you can find out which channels are which, or which segment is identified as which, in what order they progress, how you can light them up individually using on-off channels versus using the bit system, how you can translate the numbers or create the number value you need to present a properly working display with just numericals, or how you can use the on-off channels as well to display. So, I know this is a lot to take in. The on-off is pretty straightforward. The numerical one is a little weird. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do the best to explain it, because I already think this is the best I can do. So, yeah. So, hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed your watch. If you did, you know the deal. You know the spiel. This is Arcades, signing out. Oh, boy. Have yourselves a good day. Whee!